Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Today we're going to start talking about the Arabic letters. How many are the Arabic letters? If you have a guess, you can maybe send me a chat. How many are the Arabic letters, if you know them? I know that there's a split actually in opinions, and different people, different scholars and different teachers use different numbers. The old scholars mostly say that there are 29 letters. Yes, that's the old opinion. And these are the following letters, and they're grouped according to their shapes because they look similar. And this is Alif, Ba, Ta, Tha, Jim, Ha, Kha. This is Kha. Even some Arabs pronounce it Kha. It's Kha. It's a heavy letter. We're going to talk about this later on in future classes. Dal, Dhal, Ra, Zay, Sin, Shin, Sad, Dad, Ta, Va, Ain, Ghain, Fa, Qaf, Kaf, Lam, Mim, Noon, Ha, Waw, Lam, Alif, Ya. So the difference between the old opinion and the new opinion is this Lam Alif. Why do they call it Lam Alif? It's not really the Lam. The Lam is just put in front of the Alif so that they tell you it's different than this Alif. This is the Alif, the normal Alif that we know. It's the Alif with the Hamza, and it's pronounced as A, right? A, U, E. As for this Lam Alif, they put a Lam in front of it so that they, they're telling you that we're not talking about the regular Alif, we're talking about this type of Alif. And this is the extension, the med, right? And you can't really pronounce it, it's just an extension. At the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and even Abu Bakr and Umar, we said that the letters did not have dots on them. So this is how they actually looked like. So Ba, Ta, Tha, if you see them, they all look the same really. Ha, Jim, and Kha, they all look like Ha, right? Without the dots, etc. So you would really think this is how the letters look like, the red letters. And the reason for the ability of the Arabs to be able to read still, even though there's no dots, is because they were so proficient at their language. So if they're so proficient in their language, even though one shape could be one of three different letters, they are able to tell which letter it is. So I'll give you an example so that you know what we're talking about. I made an example in the English language. So a theoretical example with the English language, assume that the following letters, L, B, and D, were all written as the straight line, as L, right? So L, B, and D. So assume instead of, like in the Arabic language, we said there's no dots, assume that there's no this circle here, right? So these letters are all shown as this. I'm going to give you a sentence now, and I want you to type in the chat what you think that sentence is. Because I'm assuming you know the English language, you're going to be able to figure out what the red straight lines are. So this is the sentence. are you able to figure out what those red lines are and substitute them with the right letters? And I'm getting finally some answers. Yes, 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 of course, right? Everybody could figure it out. Why? Because you know English very well, so it's easy for you to figure out how to write those letters. And that's how it used to be at the time of the Prophet and the first Khalifas, right? And they didn't need to have the dots or the accents for that matter. But as we're explaining later on, when Islam spread out and people that are non-Arabs started becoming Muslims, then they had to actually take the masahif, which included all these variations, and then they took one mushaf, and then they started putting dots and accents, and then took the same mushaf and put the different dots and accents to match the different qira'at. So that's why we have more than the 6 mushafs today, because we had to put the dots and the accents. So a quick look here at the left side, I got you a snapshot from a mushaf that was found in the UK, Birmingham. And it doesn't have dots or the accents. And it's from Surah Taha. And I put here on top on the right side, this is from Hafs. This is what we're studying, Hafs an Asim. And on the bottom right, this is from Warsh an Nafi'. And I want to show you that they're all actually exactly the same. The difference is the dots are different. Here, there's no dots and no accents on the left side. On the right side, you can see that the accents are the same, but see, even the way they put the dots is different. So see the Quran, for example, the word Quran, right? Quran in Hafs, in the books in the eastern part of the Arab world, the way they represent qaf is a small circle with 2 dots on top. But in Morocco, for example, the qaf in the Quran is represented by a circle with 1 dot on top, which if we were reading it here, that would be fa, right? But for them, that's qaf. So this and this are exactly the same original Quran, Mus'haf. They are the same. It's just that the way that they added the dots are different. Okay. And we can see also that the numbering of the ayat was different. So subhanAllah, sometimes you hear some people, they say, oh, how come the masahif or today's masahif are different? Because they have different numbering. They're actually the exact same words. طه ما أنزلنا عليك القرآن لتشقى. طه ما أنزلنا عليك القرآن لتشقى. It's the exact same thing, except that in this instance, it was divided into 2 when it was recited. That's how the qira'ah was. It was divided into 2. And the second qira'ah, this was read in 1 shot. It was 1 ayah. So I just wanted to give you a quick idea of it. And subhanAllah, like I said, this piece was carbon dated to the time of around the time of the Prophet ﷺ. And if you carefully go letter by letter, you see that it matches letter by letter what we have today. The Arabic letters can be pronounced in one of 2 ways, either with movement or with accents, which means either with sounds or without sounds, either with a haraka, with a movement, or with sukoon. Sukoon is silence, no movement. And the movements, as you all know, are either fatha, open, when we open our mouth, like a, or kasra, e, or dhamma, u. U, we have to make sure if we say u, we put our lips together and make the perfect sound u. It's not o, it's not, it has to be a perfect u. So that's the sound. When we read the Quran, the time that we spend on the letters is the same for the movements. The silence is different. We're going to learn about that. But the movements are the same. So for example, if I said sami'a, sami'a, when I'm reading sami'a, I have to spend the same amount of time on sa, mi, and a. They all have the same time. If I said humilati, also humilati, they're all equal length of time. We cannot say you spend 1 second on a letter with a haraka. You cannot say you spend half a second, or some people say you lift your finger, bring it down. This is really incorrect, because it all depends on the speed of your recitation. So there are 3 speeds of recitation right here. One is called at-tahqiq, at-tadwir, and al-hadr. What are those speeds of recitation? At-tahqiq is reciting the Quran really slowly. So for example, I'm gonna give you an instance of that. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم. So this, I'm taking my time with it. This is called at-tahqiq. Al-hadr is the complete opposite. It's the very fast recitation. So I will be saying الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. It's very fast pace. That's called al-hadr. And at-tadwir is what is in between. And it's usually whatever is you're comfortable with, right? You're not trying to slow yourself down, and you're not trying to go fast. Usually people who are trying to slow down are trying to sound very nice. So that's one reason. And the people who are trying to read fast, al-hadr, are trying to review the Quran. They want to read the Quran, as fast as possible to review the juz of the day. So they do hadr. So at-tadwir is whatever is between, is your recitation that you're comfortable with. So we would say, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. So that would be between them, right? And everybody could be off of that. Now the speeds are infinite speeds, right? So each one has his own thing. So, but at-tahqiq is the slow, al-hadr is the fast, and at-tadwir is between them. And in all cases, we have to have at-tartil. At-tartil, we mentioned what at-tartil was before, which means we have to pronounce every letter clearly. It doesn't matter if you're reciting slowly or you're reciting the fastest you could. If your recitation in hadr is so fast that you started having letters on top of each other, that somebody who's listening to you, he's thinking you're missing a letter, that means your recitation is wrong and you have to slow down a little bit. It's not acceptable. So even in the fastest recitation, you have to have every letter pronounced clearly. And we said at-tartil is from rattala yurattilu, and al-fam, or al-thaghr al-murattal, a mouth that is murattal is a mouth that has teeth side by side. They're shown clearly. There's no tooth hiding another one. So we have to keep that in mind. Okay. Makharij al-huruf. Makharij, just quick definitions. Makharij is the plural of the word makhraj. Makhraj is exit. Al-huruf, ul is just because of grammar, it's ul here, but it's al actually, and it's the. And huruf is also the plural of the word harf. We came across this in when we were talking about the qira'at, and we said ahruf. There's another plural, it's huruf. So the makharij al-huruf, we mean by them the exits of the letters. So where these letters are coming out from inside our mouth. This is very important because if we are pronouncing a letter and it's exiting from a wrong spot, we're definitely gonna miss that letter. So this is the most important in the pronunciation and reading of the Quran. We're gonna look at some of these letters. We're gonna start with, let me move these, some stuff here are blocking my view. Okay, so we're gonna look at first the yellow letters, the a and ha. And as you can see, hopefully this is a light colored person's face right here. Hopefully everybody can see it. So here's the neck, the throat. So the a and ha, I want you to try to feel these letters because we're going to go through each one of them and we want to make sure that we're all pronouncing them from the right spot. So a and ha. Ha is a lot of air coming out of your chest and going through this throat. So ha, ha. I want you to say it 2 or 3 times at least, loudly. So that's how we're gonna practice, even though I can't listen to you today, but try to listen to yourself. A lot of air coming out. It's as if like, you know, when you're tired of something and or you're, you know, disappointed or something, sometimes you say, right? So take out that air and let it hit slightly in your throat. That will give you the ha, ha. Just like we said in English, he, hat, has, ha. And very close to that sound is a, a, a. And then we're gonna go a little upwards and we're gonna hit the ha, ha. We see where it is. It's right at that intersection right there. So this ha and the other letter is ah, ah, ah. And the ayn is probably the most difficult letter for non-Arabs to pronounce out of all the letters. And this needs a lot of practice, but all of these letters, no matter how difficult, you can achieve them by practice. But for now, let's try as much as possible to know where to get these from. So this is ha, this is ah. And if we go a little upward, right, close to our tonsils, we're gonna start feeling the qa, qa. It's as if it's coming out of our tonsils, right? Qa, qa. And it's very close to kha. So you have to be very, very delicate in that. Qa and kha. try to say both of them back to back and see that how close they are. Qa and kha, right? Kha is slightly above it, right? So the qa is right here and kha is right above it. And then we have the gha. Gha. When we said you can gargle sometimes, gha. 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 And after the gha, we have the ka. Ka is closer to the front of the face, right? Ka. Ka. That should be easier, right? Ka. Ka. Cat. Cat. By the way, pronouncing the letters with the fatha is much easier than with sukoon. That's why today we're just talking about the makharij, the exits. But when we start learning about the characteristics of the letters, we'll be able to pronounce them with sukoon, which is the most difficult part. Then we have, from this area comes these three letters. Yeah, yeah. Even though your tongue doesn't actually touch that area, it is hovering close to it, right? It is hovering very close to it. If you say yeah, yeah, feel how your tongue goes up in a way to be in parallel with that area. Yeah, yeah. And then ja. Ja, your tongue actually touches here, makes contact. Ja, ja, and it's not ja. Okay, this is not ja. That's another. Also, Arabs sometimes make that mistakes. It's not ja. It's ja. It's as if it's a combination of two letters at the same time. The D and the J. Ja, ja. Sha is right in the front of all three. Sha, sha. Then we have a bunch that come from the front. So we're gonna say ta, ta. Feel how your tongue is touching not the teeth, right? Right, the flesh right above the teeth. Ta, ta. And ta, it's the same spot, but your tongue actually moves differently in the back, and that we're going to talk about later on. So ta and ta, your tongue is almost the same on this spot. Ra, ra. There's da, da. Da is very close to your teeth. Da, da. Da is also probably one of the most difficult letters to pronounce correctly, especially in sukoon. We're gonna have probably a whole session on that letter. Na, 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 and na. Na, by the way, is you have to feel it from your also from your nose, right? Na. If you say na, try to close your nose, nothing comes out, right? Because na is a nasal letter, so it has to come out from the nose. So that's, by the way, if let's pick another letter, ja, for example. If you say ja, 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 I want you to say ja and close your nose and open it. Close your nose and open it while saying ja, ja over and over again. If it's making different sounds when you're closing and opening your nose, that means you're using your nose while pronouncing your ja, and that is incorrect. That means you have to make sure ja is only pronounced from your mouth. So ja, ja, ja. I'm closing and opening my nose, and still the ja sound is the same. Once I have some sound coming out of my nose, ja, ja, see, it starts sounding different. And that means the sound is not coming out exactly from where it should be. And that means our makharaj, our exit, is not perfect. So all the other letters, except the na and the ma, the na and the ma, the na and ma has to use the nose. The other letters do not use the nose. So you have to know that, okay? La, that's an easy letter to pronounce, la. The, watch how in the picture here, we're using the edge of the tongue with the upper teeth. The, va, and tha. All three of them are using the same spots. We should not be having our tongue exit outside the tooth, okay? So this is the tooth right now. When you put your tongue, the maximum should go out is right here. The tongue should not go out like this. It should not be like the tongue should be at maximum right under the tooth. The, va, fa, fa. Like we said, the like that. Va, there's not an equivalent letter in English. Fa, like three. Fa, three. Fa and ba, they're from the lips. Wa as well. So wa, fa, fa is from the lips and the upper tooth, right? We put the upper teeth on the lower lips, and that's how we get the fa. So these are the letters. And in this picture also, we can see the letters that are solar letters and they're lunar letters. Solar and lunar. الأحرف الشمسية والأحرف القمرية. What are the أحرف الشمسية والقمرية? I'm just going to quickly go over that. If you remember, there are two types of words. In this example, we read it as ash-shams. Ash-shams. The lam is not pronounced. We say ash-shams. But in this word, we say al-qamar. Al-qamar. Because this is the qaf is called a lunar, a qamari letter, and so you pronounce the lam. I don't want to get too complicated with this, so I'm just going to give you two tips about this. One is in the Quran, because everything is well annotated in today's masahif, not like before. Like I said, today we have the dots, we have every accent, we have everything, the shaddas and everything. If you're reading the Quran today in the masahif, there's two ways you can actually tell the way you have to pronounce it. One is the lam that doesn't have anything on top of it, that means you don't pronounce it. That's how they kind of help you when you read the Quran. If you see a sukoon, that means you pronounce it as al-qamar, because there's a sukoon and then you say al-qamar. If you don't see anything, then you say ash-shams. Another easier tip, so that even if you're reading something outside the Quran, whenever the letter has a shadda, whenever there's a shadda, this lam is dropped. And this should be easy enough, right? Whenever there's a shadda, so this is, you say ash-shams, you drop the lam right away. In here, there's no shadda, so you pronounce the lam. Okay? And these we're talking about the words that have al in front of them. So whenever you have a shadda, you drop the lam. If I wanted to explain why, in theory, why this is done, some teachers teach the letters, they tell you to memorize the letters that actually do this and the letters that do that. I actually prefer to teach in a different way. The lam is dropped because the solar letters are all letters that use an exit, a makharij that is very close to the exit of the lam. So it becomes very difficult for a person to pronounce it nicely. So for example, if I wanted to say ash-shams, ash-shams is the correct way to say it, right? If I wanted to say the wrong way, I would have to say al-shams, al-shams. And I wanted to try to say it, al-shams. Your tongue is trying to go in two spots that are very close to each other. It's very uncomfortable to pronounce. And that's why they're merged into the shadda and the lam is dropped. So if we look at all these letters, any of the letters that uses the tongue and the tongue goes up, whenever your tongue is moving upwards, know that the lam has to be dropped. If that's the rule, except for one exception, the letter ja. This is the only exception. Okay, so whenever you're a letter, you have to pronounce it, and your tongue, you feel like it moves upwards. So if I said, for example, the, if you say that, I'm going to repeat that. If you say that, does your tongue go upward? Give me a thumbs up if you feel your tongue goes upward when you say it. The. Is your tongue moving upwards? Yes, no? I'm not getting any feedback. Give me some feedback. Yes? The. So the tongue is going upward. And when the tongue goes upward, that means you don't pronounce the la, because the la comes from that spot. And that's why you say you don't say al. Okay, but this is, we're going into too much detail. So the easy tip, like I said, when you're reading in the Quran and there's al, this is the ahruf al-qamariyya and al-shamsiyya, the solar and lunar letters. It's all about the al. So words that start with al, if the letter after the al has shadda, just like this one, shadda, the al is dropped. You don't pronounce it. This is to make it easy. So forget about all the details that I've been putting in your head. If you just want to read, if there's a shadda, you drop the al. If there's no shadda, like this one, you pronounce the al. Okay? So we have, I think we have a question. So let me allow you to speak. Give me a second, please. Okay, Sister Kim, yes. Did you have a question?
No, that was a mistake.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's fine. Okay. Anybody, if you have a question, you can ask now. I think, anyways, that's what I had for today. If you have any questions, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. I was just saying that I think that makes sense because the shadda seems to be something that pulls it towards itself, like it's a connecting thing. So if, oh yeah, but then it doesn't pull the lam towards itself. Okay, I get it.
Right.
Then there's another
so for
rule.
example, that's why I want
the lam will
you
be
guys.
dropped.
So I want you
Okay.
to like have an example, right? So we're saying like these letters, when if you really wanted to understand why, like I was saying, that the la, the spot where the la comes out from, It's just that rule is made out to make it easier to speak the language. So if you say al, for example, as-samawat is the correct word. As-samawat, which are the heavens. As-samawat, as-sa, there's a shadda on the sa, right? So I'm not pronouncing al. I cannot say al-samawat is so uncomfortable. Like, if you try to say it, al-samawat, right? But if you say as-samawat, is much easier. It's smoother. So that's why it's made like that. So instead of saying al-samawat, they take out the lam and they put the shadda on the sin. As-samawat. It's much smoother to go. The only exception to that is the jim. So you would say al-jabal. Al-jabal is still smooth. It's not actually bothering that way. Yes.
So basically, if we diligently remember this rule, then we will be speaking like Arabs. Without the fatha and kasra, we would know how the word goes because of this rule.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's the reason why I just went into a little bit of detail, so that in case you want it in the future to keep going with some classes, you understand why and how this is done. And like I said, other classes, they actually teach they actually tell you to memorize the 14 letters of the solar letters and the lunar letters, and I don't even memorize them. So it is very difficult to do it that way. I think doing it this way is much easier, inshallah.
I think a really good way would be, maybe if we have a lot of words, like you gave us the example of as-samawat. If we have a lot of words that that goes directly to the solar letters, then our brain will understand that words that starts with this will, it's kind of like training your mind and the mouth at the same time.
Yes. So
it'll take practice, a lot of practice, a lot of vocabulary with the conscious. I don't know, but this is good. Jazakallah khair. It's nice to see it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll let me see. Can you see what the whiteboard?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, I'm gonna try to type something in Arabic. So for example, when we say alhamdu, right? We say alhamdulillah. You don't say ahamdu. You say alhamdu, right? Alhamdu. There's no shadda on the ha. This is an example of the letters that are lunar, right? Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. And another one is al-alameen, right? Al-alameen. Another word that is starting with al-alameen. So you're saying al-alameen, you're not saying a'alameen, al-alameen. So that means the a is a letter, and if you feel it, right, a is totally from here, 100%. It has nothing to do with our tongue. That's why the lam is pronounced entirely. So we're saying al-alameen because it's easy. The a is coming from a different place from the la. It's so easy for us to pronounce it, and so it's pronounced. So I'm just going to use examples from Surah Al-Fatiha, since everybody knows it. And once we get to Ar-Rahman, so now it's different, right? We say Ar-Rahman. Again, we have al in the beginning, but we have a ra. And ra, when you say ra, what happens to your tongue? Ra, it automatically touches the palate on top. And to make it easy, you don't say al-rah, al-rah. You say ar-rah, Ar-Rahman. And the same thing with Ar-Rahim. Ar-Rahim. So maybe from now on, when you start reciting Surah Al-Fatiha, you start thinking about this and paying more attention to it, inshallah. And